CJ started his show yesterday, or I guess it released last night, and it was right before the trade for Garnet Hathaway and Dmitry Orlov that Boston orchestrated with Washington. But he starts it off with 7.5 minutes of Patrick Kane.
Yes.
And, there was a lot of very interesting tidbits there. But what I found to be the most interesting, Julian asked him about the asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that CJ's like, well, it might be a second round pick. I'm like, are you like the Rangers? Jesse has blessed them with Jesse Luck.
Yeah.
Because they got Tarasenko at a good price. And you're telling me the Rangers, who we think Patrick Kane has agreed already to go to, we believe that's the case, that they're working on the deal right now, are going to be able to get this guy with Kravtsov and less than a second round pick.
It's because Kane has put them in the worst situation ever. He's told them, I want to go to one team, so you must negotiate with them. So they have Kyle Davidson has zero negotiating power.
So let me take you back 10 years to noted didn't have retirement forced on him guy.
Jerome McGinley.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
The game kind of went, we don't need you, Jerome.
How dare you? This was a topic of heated conversation because I immediately compared the current Kane situation to Iginla, and producer Drew stepped in and was like, Iginla was not there in 2013.
No, he wasn't.
Prime Iginla maybe, but in 2013, and that's...
the thing about Drew that I wish he was more opinionated.
Oh my God.
I wish that he was more defined in what he thinks.
I wish he was more antagonistic of
every
Oilers fans and all of the rest of them also. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Man, he is like, what's his, something's into him this week.
He's just having fun.
Well, I think he's picking at Oilers fans because Oilers fans, and I'm sorry,
are the easiest.
Well, like other than Leafs fans.
I mean, it's a trifecta of Leafs, Oilers, probably squeeze Canucks in there.
Oh yeah. And he loves that. But I think, here's the thing: the Leafs, not that the pressure's off, but the Leafs have made a big move and a good move, right?
Yeah.
The Oilers keep talking about how they can't. We simply cannot. Oh, we'd have to move salary. You've seen the Vegas Golden Knights move salary. You've seen Boston bend over backwards and work it out with Minnesota. It can be done. It's just, do the Oilers want to be creative or pick up the phone and work that hard?
Did you see the latest report that they're going to keep Puljujärvi because they want the depth?
I mean, okay, I know we're making fun of them. They should, though.
Yeah.
No, but like the whole thing with Puljujärvi is he's young and not bad, and you should keep young, not bad players because that's good.
But I was told by the people who report on the team that they don't like it.
Can you do the Jerome Iginla thing?
Yeah, sorry. So Iginla, people forget, was a huge commodity.
Yes,
at the time.
he was.
People wanted this guy badly.
And I mean, it's important to point out pre-advanced stats.
Like, okay, I'm gonna no, it wasn't. First of all, and second of all, fuck you. All right, how dare you?
You couldn't pull up a JFresh chart back then, though.
Not a JFresh chart. Just charts from guys who ended up getting hired because it was 2013. How dare you? Okay. So,
sorry.
By the way, that's not a shot at JFresh.
No, not at all.
He doesn't work for an NHL team because I don't think he could take the pay cut.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got Jerome Iginla, who was highly sought after, and there was a deal. Do you remember this? There was a deal for him to go to Boston.
Yes, and he backed out of it.
It was like a second Koklachev who never really panned out, but I want to say he was a former first or second round pick, and I think there was another small piece to that. Now that's not a lot. And it's interesting for the Kane conversation, though, because we have two examples of an Iginla trade for the price of one. Because he was traded to Boston. There was a deal in place, and it even got reported. And Iginla at the last minute went, well, actually, I only want to be traded to Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh had to give up no salary retention. Kenny Agostino.
Oh, wow.
Marley's legend.
Yeah.
And Leafs preseason legend. Ben Hanowski. And a 2013, can you imagine? A 2013 first round pick that ended up being 28th overall that they used to select Morgan Klimchuk. another Marlies legend. To give you an idea, what was Hanowski? I'm trying to look it up. He was a 3rd round pick of Pittsburgh.
So 2 firsts and a third.
And Kenny Agostino was a 5th round pick from 2010, so 3 years prior. So if you want to look at it, it's a 3rd, a 5th, and a 1st.
That's it. Well, it's significant.
It's significant,
but it's really not that big of a deal.
No, it's not. So, but what were the Flames supposed to get in return? Iginla only wanted to go to literally one team. It was bad enough return when it was 2. I'll go to one of Pittsburgh or Boston, but then it was just, no, I only want to go to Pittsburgh and wear powder blue. Weird.
You could have even taken an example from more recent memory, and that's last year with Claude Giroux. Claude Giroux told Philadelphia, I will only go to Florida, and they had to make that deal. And they ended up getting quite a bit in that trade.
Actually wasn't bad.
That was to the Philadelphia Flyers was Owen Tippett, a 3rd round pick, and a conditional 1st round pick. Which isn't too bad when you're like hands are tied behind your back, and you have to only negotiate with one team.
The Panthers also got some extra assets too.
Mm-hmm.
Rubtsov, Bunneman, which is, I always wanted Toronto to get that guy just for the name. And 2024 5th.
Yeah, and 50% retained as well to help Florida with the cap. So we've seen this happen, and we've seen the team get, in both instances, a 1st round pick. But I think it feels like it's even deeper here with Kane, in that there's no negotiation at all.
No.
And if you don't help the Rangers get me there, I'm going to be upset, and I'm not going anywhere. So
almost like a demanding toddler, and I'm not trying to say that as an insult, but it's like he's taking one of those metal cups and just clanging it on his cradle. Trade me to New York.
Yeah.
Well, according to CJ too, the part of the reason that he's not picking a team like Vegas is he's not, because they would be interested. He's not convinced that their defense is good enough.
So he's being real picky about it.
Oh yeah.
And I think ultimately it sounds like he just wants to go and live in New York and play hockey. And I don't know if you remember the Nick Kyprios episodes from 5 years ago now when he was here, but he said it's the best fucking place to play hockey.
It seems like a foregone conclusion he'll sign there in the offseason then, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if they trade for him, they can retain him too, right? They get that option.
Was it on the CJ show where CJ made the point that he needs to get surgery as well at some point? And the longer this is delayed, the further it pushes into next season? So if he doesn't get traded here, there's also the opportunity he just has surgery and calls it quits and comes back next year.
So let's play a fun game called Put Words in CJ's Mouth.
Okay.
It's my favorite. So I listened to the CJ show on the way here, and he mentioned 2 things half an hour apart. But my brain immediately went, those clicked together. Kane wants to go to New York, and the price is not going to be astronomical, but they need a 3rd team.
Minnesota, to take $1.3 million in salary, I believe it is.
Something like that. The Wild only have 1 retention slot left. But a team CJ brought up, and I wanted them to make a bigger deal of this, was the Montreal Canadiens. They might have a difficult time selling at this deadline because so many of their sellable deadline pieces are injured or battling injury or just coming back. We were talking about a 1st round pick for Joel Edmondson, but even if you're getting 80%, 85% of Joel Edmondson, do you all of a sudden get less? But Montreal could be a as they put it, banker team. Kent Hughes, GM there, used to be in charge of the Rangers. So me putting words in CJ's mouth using 2 pieces of perfectly legitimate information that he gave, I think Patrick Kane ends up in New York by way of Montreal.
Interesting.
That is what I think is going to happen.
So you just tweeted conjecture about CJ.
Absolutely. I radioed him. Consider yourself radioed.
The only
Nerd.
piece of
Get wrecked.
the only piece of hair on the soup that I would see there is that I don't think Kent Hughes and Chris Drury get along. I think that's the guy who replaced you. It was pretty sudden that James Dolan was like, "Hey, can I all of a sudden don't like you? Get out and bring in Chris Drury."
I think good business gets along. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Montreal is straight up just the middleman. They're just the middleman. Listen, I don't have to like you. You don't have to like me. We barely even have to be on the phone. Let's make this transaction and go right back to our comfortable lives, hating each other's lives. The other thing that I would like to extrapolate. Oh my God, I got distracted by my phone. Here it is. So it's going to be difficult for Chicago to get a first round pick for Patrick Kane. So it's probably going to be a second, right? If I'm Chicago and I'm letting go of Patrick Kane and he's going to resign there next year, no, fuck that. I got to get something. So I kind of think it'll be a conditional pick. Is it a second that turns into a first? I don't know.
Okay.
Is it a potential pick swap or something? I don't know. But there's going to be some sort of condition in there that if Kane re-signs in New York, Chicago gets more.
If I'm Chris Drury, I say no. I have a second round pick. It's
we'll
all
simply
yours.
sign him this summer.
Yeah, and the Rangers have that.
Won't help you this year, though.
The Rangers
I'll
have
go with
that
someone else.
extra first round pick. You know, they have that extra. And I would just sit on it. It's yours. It's fun.
Listen. Here's my pitch to Kyle Davidson. I'm with you, Jesse. So if you're Kyle Davidson, I'd be like, Kyle, listen, we got an extra first this year, and it's yours. Or no, well, I guess it could be yours. Could be yours.
I'm so excited for the trade to happen.
We'll keep our second. We'll keep Kravtsov, and we'll give you the first. Don't be a fool.
Should Kravtsov just like?
Although Kravtsov wants out, so maybe that's why it. Yeah,
Do you think he's already had Blackhawk stuff shipped to his house?
probably.
Or like,
He's
is
done.
he just
He's
going to
gone.
pick it up once he gets there?
He's gone.
He's going to Chicago.
He's gone.
Unless it's the third team like Montreal.
Yeah.
Kravtsov to the Habs as the
Habsov.
retainer? No
Habsov.
way. Habsov. No, well, Minnesota retained and they got a fourth, and they retained and they got a fifth. It's a pretty big jump to Kravtsov.
The point
former
is,
first.
the point is, Davidson's got to do this deal this year. Otherwise, he's just delaying his own rebuild. Why would you do that? Get rid of Kane. Get something for him. Don't over ask. Just get the deal done.